that help this town just continue to be a wonderful place to live and to work. Lord, for all our elected officials, Lord, you've given them gifts and abilities. I just lift up and ask for them to have discernment and wisdom as they make many decisions throughout the year. I pray that you watch over them, that you watch over their families. Father, I pray for our public safety. I pray that you watch over them and keep them safe. And for all the town employees that invest such a great time, I just pray, Lord, that you would bless them, especially over the holiday season. And especially we pray for our residents. This is a wonderful place to live, and it's a place that you've truly blessed with beauty. And so we lift up everything that's happening tonight. And we ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chaplain.
Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. And I did forget to remind all of us in the audience that we are broadcasting live, and you can watch ourselves on YouTube at some future time. I will hereby suspend the Town Council meeting and commence our Rancho Sahuarita Community Facilities District meeting. I'll hereby call the meeting of the Rancho Sahuarita Community Facilities District to order. And Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Board Member Rocco.
Here.
Board Member Ball.
Here.
Board Member Davis.
Here.
Board Member Hicks.
Here.
Board Member Lusk.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Edwards. Here. Chairperson Murphy.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Item 3 is called to the public. At this time, any member of the public is invited to address the district board on any issue which is on tonight's consent agenda or any issue which the district board can lawfully act upon in a future meeting pursuant to the Arizona open meeting laws. The district board may not discuss the items, but individual members of the district board may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the district board. May ask staff to review the matter or may ask the matter to be placed on a future agenda. I don't have any speaker cards for the CFD for Rancho Sahuarita. If anybody would like to address this, this would be the time. Seeing no movement, I will declare the call to the public closed and move on to the consent agenda, which is item number 4. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. We now move to item number 5. Madam Clerk.
Discussion and possible action to direct staff to prepare a study of the feasibility and benefits of issuing general obligation bonds to acquire public infrastructure.
Thank you. Our district treasurer, Mr. Mariotti, will begin, and then at the conclusion of that, we'll give the applicant time to address the council and then entertain any questions. Mr. Mariotti.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the district recently received a CFD bond feasibility application from Rancho Sahuarita Management Company, and what they're proposing is that the district issue an estimated $3.8 million in general obligation bonds that would be used to acquire public infrastructure. That includes 2 roadways and a sewer line, and Mr. Rossi will follow up my leading comments here to provide you a little bit more information about those projects. So a little bit of history for you, just as a refresher. In August 2014, the district obtained a $60 million bond authorization from the qualified electors in the district at that time. So with that authorization, the district issued its first general obligation bonds in March of 2018 in the amount of $5.78 million. And so that leaves the district with over $54 million in bonding authorization. Now, even though that authorization is already in place, state statutes require that the CFD board, for any time it wants to acquire any infrastructure, whether it's a construction project or an acquisition project, that it has to cause a study of the feasibility and benefits of any project that pertains to that public infrastructure. And so to that end, if the board so directs, we will contract with our financial advisor as well as our bond attorneys to put together a draft feasibility report for the board. The feasibility report will include a lot of the elements that's already included in the application, so that kind of gets things rolling a little bit earlier than maybe it would have otherwise. But feasibility report will include a description of the infrastructure that's to be acquired, a map of the location of the projects, estimated cost to construct and acquire the public infrastructure, as well as the cost estimates to operate and maintain that, an estimated schedule for completion of the projects, a map and description of the area that's benefited by the projects, and last but not least, obviously, the financial plan associated with that acquisition and the operation and maintenance components of those projects. So if we're authorized to do so tonight, sort of the schedule that we're looking at is that we would come back to the board with a draft feasibility report, either at the end of January, we have one meeting in January, so either at that meeting or hopefully the first meeting in February. So that would provide an opportunity for both the community as well as the board to look at where things stand at that point in time. And then if the board's so inclined, we could then come back at a subsequent meeting following that to actually seek that bond authorization. And so this time around, it's a little bit different than the first time because there was, other than the developer, there were no property owners in the district. And so, kind of doing the bond authorization with feasibility report all in one fell swoop made a little bit more sense. This time we are suggesting, it's just part of best practice, having that in a meeting to have that draft and just to provide another opportunity to get your feedback on that from the communities. But don't really see that slowing things down too much. We'll still be looking at issuing bonds probably at the tail end of February or March. So with that, I would turn it over to Mr. Rossi.
Mr. Rossi, welcome.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Michael Rossi, on behalf of the Rancho Sahuarita Company, thank you very much for hearing this item this evening. This time around, I will attempt to be very brief, but first I would like to mention a couple things and thank staff. Your town attorney, Mr. Hockley, has created a new application tool that is very, very helpful and efficient, and we were able to utilize that this time for the first time. And that makes the process really nice and efficient. We had taken the last feasibility study, we had started to put something together right at the time he was completing that tool. We were able to use it, and it really streamlined the process. We'll be using that again for future issuances, and I think that's a really nice tool that he's come up with. Mr. Mariotti has been working closely with Fred Lewis from the company on all the financial details. That's gone well, and this is a very straightforward second issuance of bonds. The authorization is done when the original district was formed, and that was an authorization for up to $60 million in general obligation bonds. And in this district, and in virtually all districts, and really in virtually every bond authorization, it's very rare that you will issue all of the bonds at the time that you authorize them. You tend to authorize more than you can spend at any one time, and especially in a district like this, you issue as and when the assessed valuation is coming online to pay the debt service on those bonds. And that, in fact, is the purpose of the feasibility analysis that we are asking you to approve the process to start this evening. And there will be multiple issuances through the life of the district that will take place. This one's for $3.8 million. It's for 3 projects, a sewer line on the west side, pretty routine, not a lot to talk about there. The extension of Rancho Sahuarita Boulevard to open up Region 6. That's very exciting. I was here approximately 6 months ago in the spring. We were talking about, we wanted to see what the market would do. Over the summer, it has remained quite strong. Construction prices are high, there are a lot of labor shortages, and there are a lot of delays. So, our market in southern Arizona isn't as good as in Maricopa County, but it's still good, and it's still pretty strong. We've had 2 significant closings with builders since I was here the last time. We have 5 additional builder projects either in escrow or negotiating in contract, and we've got significantly increased interest in commercial development in and around the marketplace, and most specifically, we've got a very significant user currently under a non-disclosure agreement, but coming forward entirely because of the hospital development. And that has helped to drive the ability to put in the third road project in this. And I think that's the one that we're especially excited about, and that's the one that I would like to thank staff, Sarah, Beth, the entire staff. They've been working very closely with our engineer, Mr. Baker, over the last 4 to 6 weeks, refining a design to put in the permanent roadway along Sahuarita Center Drive from Calle Imperial to Rancho Sahuarita Boulevard, including the turn signal at that intersection. It won't be fully warranted at this time, probably wouldn't have been fully warranted until the next bond issuance, but operationally, with the intersection of a multiple lane roadway, the hospital, the school in that proximity, the urging of council members, working with staff, we all recognized that that was an important element to include in this CFD application. And we're very excited, and I hope you are in the community, is to be able to bring forward this permanent roadway at this time. And Mr. Mariotti has exhibits that show the 3, that's up there now, a blow-up that shows the other roadway as well, if we want to go to that slide. With that, I'll stop and answer any questions, but it's this third element in this $3.8 million GO bond issuance feasibility study that we're requesting you to kick off. It's this project that we're really excited about and will significantly enhance circulation throughout this area and paves the way, no pun intended,
I think it was intended.
paves the way for a pretty exciting user that I hope to be able to talk about in a month or so, a couple months. You never know. These are commercial, but with that, council members, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I'd like to thank everyone on staff, Mr. Udall, Mr. Hockley. We kicked the process off with a meeting with the 2 of them, and it's really been a very interactive process and gone very, very smooth.
Yes, thanks for being here. I think timing as well. I went to the Elder Luncheon just a few days ago, and there's a lot of good excitement of what next year holds, and obviously I think we want to be out in front of that and make it as quick and as easy as possible. But as things change at the national, international level, you never know when it might go the other direction. So I'm glad to see some movement coming forward. Does anybody have any questions to my left?
Not Mr. Rossi, that's the staff's request.
Any questions from me? No? Okay. Might have to bring you back up, but I think I know.
If there's anything else, I'd be happy to come back up. Thank you. Economic outlook, looks good, but it's also unpredictable times. We're excited to get this kicked off.
Right.
We're hoping the market stays strong, especially the home building is great, but the commercial components, because the commercial components are what really brings a lot of assessed value onto the roll very, very quickly. It's great for the town, but it's also great for the district. If a little more of that happens, we'll be able to accelerate next 2 phases into 1 phase, make some other regional connections. So fingers crossed, but we're hoping for that. I'm happy to come back up if there are any questions, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
The last time we voted on something similar to this, the only landowner was the developer. And so as a council member, Vice Mayor, I would suggest, or I would request actually, that all landowners that are currently going to be affected by this receive a notice of the next meeting, that they'll be under a tax obligation change, and that I would request that it be in some easily understandable language. Sometimes it feel a little bit wordy, no offense to our town attorney, but it needs to be with somebody that can read it, understand what the decisions that we'll be making at the next meeting regarding this obligation.
And is Mr. Mariotti or Mr. Udall, I'm not sure the town pays for, then we do that? Or? Because is that?
Meaning, is it the mailing? I didn't
Yeah.
actually specify how they were going to let them know.
Oh, okay.
So I was gonna let the staff determine how to do that.
Oh, okay. Sorry for the
I was
assumption.
gonna let them have the decision to go forward, but as
Yeah.
long as that we can rest assured that most of, if not all of the landowners will receive some type of notice.
Yep. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move to direct district staff to prepare a feasibility study for the issuance of general obligation bonds to acquire public infrastructure.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Having no further business for the CFD board, we're adjourned and we'll return to our regular meeting. Madam Clerk, may I roll?
Councilmember Bracco,
Here.
Councilmember Dahl,
Here.
Councilmember Davis,
Here.
Councilmember Hicks,
Here.
Councilmember Love,
Here.
Vice Mayor Egbert,
Here.
Mayor Murphy,
Here.
Quorum present.
Thanks. Next item is number 5, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We have our agenda approved. Item number 6 is call to the public. At this time, any member of the public is invited to address the town council on any issue which is on tonight's consent agenda or any issue which the town council can lawfully act upon at a future meeting. Pursuant to Arizona open meeting laws, the council may not discuss the items, but individual members of the council may respond to criticism made by those who address the council, may ask staff to review the matter, or may ask the matter to be placed in a future agenda item. I don't have any speaker cards for call to the public. Anybody else like to address us? Seeing no movement, I will declare the call to public closed and move on to council and town manager. I was gonna say brief summary, but I have a long list, so I won't say brief. No, I'll try to keep it brief. Mr. Udall?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I hope I'm not stepping on anybody's toes here. If you are, you can shut me down so you can give the report. But I just have one, and that is an invitation for everyone to come and join us for the Winter Festival coming up on Saturday, December 14th, which is this Saturday. It begins at 6 o'clock with a light parade, and it's a lot of fun to see with our businesses out there and other groups in our community that participate in this parade. In addition to the light parade, we'll have a tree lighting with our very own mayor there to light our tree. Santa, of course, will be there, food trucks, ice skating, games and crafts, performers and DJs. And we've got a lot of things happening. Also, one of the special things that's occurring this time will be an ice sculpting demonstration right out front here. And so people can watch that happen, and that's going to be at 7 o'clock. So, and then after that, we'll have performances start at 7:30 with the Sahuarita Dance Studio, the Sahuarita High School Jockeys Dance Team, and the Walden Grove High School Pack Team. And then at 8:30 to 9:30, we'll have the Dickens a cappella traditional carols roaming the property, singing the Christmas carols. And so we hope that everyone will come out and enjoy this evening with us. As you can see, we've got now the garden area lit up with some special opportunities for photos, not only out in the garden, but there's also one up here close to the building as well. And so I think that'll be a lot of fun for everybody to come and enjoy that. That's my report.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
On that note, I wanted to let Kelly know and the Parks and Rec staff and those that have participated in getting that light. I know that there's probably a lot of departments involved in that. I think on a daily basis, I'm being told how beautiful our town hall looks for the Christmas, the lights that are up. They're particularly liking the feature, the Santa sleigh out there. I've seen lots of pictures and posts up already on that, Christmas photos being taken right there. So thank you for bringing in that spirit of the winter and Christmas, and look forward to Saturday night. The only other thing I have, and I'm going to steal from him, but
That's okay.
I was there, I'm going to take it. The STAC team, not STAC team, STAC council team winter social was here on Friday. Great hot chocolate from local vendor here, Dutch Brothers, or Dutch Bros. I've never been
If
told.
you're cool, it's Dutch Bros.
The Dutch Bros. And lots of kids, lots of activities. The STAC team, the STAC group did an incredible job planning that. They just every year it seems they get more confidence and more abilities and greater attendance at each one of the events. So great job to the Parks and Rec, I know that's under Melissa, and it's a great opportunity to provide activities for teenagers to do that allows them to do great, positive fun in our community. So thank you for that.
Anything to my left? I'll just piggyback off of the Vice Mayor's comment. It feels like every year we're adding something a little special, like we did the garden this year. So if we can, maybe continue to do that, whether it's Salrito Road, the trees that are there, or I know there's been discussions, I think it's been the Vice Mayor that's sort of advocated for a little competition around the lake with the different houses, something along those lines. So I wasn't mistaken. But it really, because I noticed a difference, I had people come up to me and noticing a difference. So adding it, a little bit more, refreshing it, I think is, very exciting. I've had a lot of positive comments. I was able to attend a couple of somber dedications. One was thanks to the chief and some of the police officers. We went down to Patagonia. 45 years ago, there was a treasury agent and a border patrol agent that was killed from drug runs. And they had a heck of a time trying to get a dedicated monument to them. And because of some property the Border Patrol was able to acquire, they were able to do that, and they were very appreciative of our presence down there, so I just wanted to pass the thanks on to the chief. And also I was honored to be with some of the Rancho Cerrito folks. They dedicated a park to Marcus Jr. Cook, who passed away about this time last year. The family was very appreciative of our efforts doing the proclamation like we had presented before. I was able to represent that. So it just shows, the chaplain mentioned it, just such a great community and everybody coming together from that. Fun ribbon cutting. Thank you, Randy, from the Chamber for being here tonight. Chipotle, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, next to the Starbucks. They'll be doing the ribbon cutting. And I just wanted to pass on my congratulations. I'm glad Michelle's here from our HR department. They participated in the Arizona Walking Challenge, and it was a combination of businesses to businesses trying to promote employee wellness across the state of Arizona. We finished second place as a business out of over 40 participating employees. Jose Rodriguez, our town system analysis, he was fourth place overall of all the employees of all the businesses participated. He walked 1,782,349 steps over 6 weeks.
And we don't know where he is.
Now, none of our IT is working, but he really walked on it. And we had 57 people participating over 6 weeks for a total of 19,479 and 35 steps. Now, it is not true, I didn't make up only the 35 steps of that total. I actually did 227,000. So, but, when you're comparing it to 1,700,000, I don't know, not a lot there. But thanks for organizing that. I've been noticing over the last year a lot of different health and wellness events, trying to keep our staff healthy. So thanks to everybody that's participating and trying to create a healthier community. We try to do it internally with our staff, but we're also very committed to doing it as a town as a whole. So just wanted to thank everybody for that. And I think that's all I have. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Next, if I don't want to forget at the end, but our next meeting is Monday, January 27th, 2020. So just don't forget about that. Item number 8 is our consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We have our consent agenda. Now we come to item number 9. Madam Clerk.
Presentation, discussion, and possible adoption of resolution number 2019-0612, approving the acquisition of real property by the town consisting of 92.935 acres from Woodhawk Development, LLC, Pima County parcel number 303-41, 034R for $545,500 plus closing costs, and authorizing the mayor to execute closing documents from the Title Security Agency LLC, escrow number 600175994-001, and to amend the budget authorizing a transfer of up to $549,000 from the general fund to the Capital Infrastructure Improvement Fund, and to declare an emergency to exist.
Thank you. And Ms. Michael, our Parks and Rec Director, will be presenting this item. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you mentioned, I am the Parks and Recreation Director, and just by way of introduction, I want to emphasize first that this recommendation to the council tonight is an interdepartmental effort. It included review by not only Parks and Recreation, but Public Works, Planning, Police, the Town Attorney's Office, the Town Manager's Office. A lot of people have been working on this topic for your consideration this evening. However, Town Manager Udall asked that I present. And so we became aware as staff of this land that was for sale back in early spring of this year. And we were asked to research it, which we did. And one thing led to another, to the point that we decided to do very, very serious due diligence, which included getting an appraisal on the land, as well as to do a phase 1 site assessment to see if there were any kind of unforeseen aspects of the land. So with those two studies, for which we employed consultants for that, the reports came back to us in the latter part of the summer, and we were able to review those and find that we didn't really have huge concerns. So from there, we proceeded to engage the services of a real estate broker, that would be CBRE, and to work with them primarily through the Town Attorney's Office to discuss a contract for purchase and to do the kind of work that would lead to us making an offer for acquisition. That took place, in September as far as a letter of interest and offer. And then from there, we proceeded to the documentation, like with all real estate, getting title reports back, getting the survey of titles back, all kinds of documents where staff could do their due diligence and review everything completely and thoroughly to see if there were any issues that would be concerns to us. Now, why would it be important for the town to be interested in acquiring this land? Well, this land is just off of Twin Buttes Road to the west of La Cañada. It's just shy of 93 acres, and it's basically raw, unimproved desert. It has three or four washes running through it. Twin Buttes is on the south, and there are railroad lines that form the east and north boundaries. On the west, the property boundary is shared with the mining quarry, and so that's the operation that's to the west. The town does not have land that we own for future opportunity and use. And so when this opportunity came to us and made us aware, we thought, wow, the town in the future could have all kinds of needs for land that would further future needs of the town to provide government service. And so the manager challenged staff, and I mentioned we were all involved, to say, well, what possible uses might there be? And really, it's a myriad of uses for government services. It would include open space, trails, service yards, support areas. It could be all kinds of things. And we don't have a conclusive definition of what that would be right now, but we do know that having land as part of the town's assets is really important, because we do know that the future is coming and that we might have those service needs that identify themselves. And so for that reason, this is such a rare opportunity where we get a pretty decent tract of land that could serve future use. For that reason, we recommend as staff to the council the approval of the resolution this evening that would authorize us to move forward with that purchase. The purchase price that was negotiated is $545,500, plus there would be closing costs that are around $3,000 to $4,000, like with any real estate transactions, the typical and customary closing costs. And so with that, I would ask if there are any questions.
Thank you. Ms. Buell, did you want to add anything or go right to questions?
I think that summarized it really well.
Right.
I do see some of our needs more immediate than others. For example, for a community our size, we have no public works yard. Yet Public Works and maintaining our streets and roads and sidewalks are very important to this community and very important to us as an organization. And so we need an opportunity to have a public works yard. I think the other things that Nanette described as future needs, we'll know what those are, you know, as time goes on. So I think it's a good move. I think the price is excellent. The price point for buying the property is excellent. And so our recommendation to the council would be to move forward with the purchase.
Great, thanks. Any questions? All right. Any questions to my left? If no questions, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move to adopt resolution number 2019-0612 and to amend the budget authorizing a transfer of up to $549,000 from the general fund to the capital infrastructure improvement fund and to declare an emergency to exist.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we come to item number 10. Madam Clerk.
Public hearing, discussion, and possible adoption of resolution number 2019-0613, approving a major general plan amendment of expired 2035 Sahuaritas General Plan to incorporate 108.82 acres of land located on the west and north side of Old Nogales Highway east of the Santa Cruz River at the southern tip of the current town boundaries into the general plan and to change the land use designation for the site to mixed use. Case number SA 719-00001.
Thank you. I saw movement, so I'm assuming Ms. Cassidy and Ms. Moore will be presenting this item?
We've got 3 general plan amendments
Yes, we
coming
do.
up, so we
Which means 3 public hearings.
Yeah, they have to be separate public hearing agenda items, so we're gonna tag team, and Anna's gonna go first.
Okay.
I have to, Mr. Mayor, to interrupt. I don't know, does anybody else in the council, when they read these, they hear Anna's voice? Because that's what happens every time I read these, because she says it's calming. I look forward to your presentation on it.
Well, you better not disappoint after that introduction, huh?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, it's a lot of pressure. But here we go, public hearing for a major general plan amendment for La Posada, case number SA 719-00001. Just a brief background on this project. La Posada was annexed into the town of Sahuarita in April of 2018. However, the area has not yet been incorporated into our general plan map. This amendment will incorporate La Posada into the general plan maps and will give La Posada a Sahuarita mixed-use land use designation, which will allow for the current zoning. It will allow for the existing uses to continue, as well as for the site to continue to develop in a manner consistent with the existing development. The amendment does not change La Posada's zoning. It does not impact the ability of La Posada to continue to develop the property as it has been, and it also does not have any impact on the residents of La Posada. Because this is a major general plan amendment, state law requires that we hold 2 public hearings, which we did on October 2nd and 7th with the Planning and Zoning Commission. No members of the public spoke at either of these hearings, and on October 7th, the commission recommended approval in a 6-0 vote. Public notice of this hearing was provided in the Green Valley News, mailed notice was provided, and we also held a neighborhood meeting on September 18th that was prior to the Planning Commission hearing. There were approximately 25 people in attendance at that neighborhood meeting, and there were no concerns expressed regarding this amendment. Also, per state law, we provided 60-day notice to certain agencies, for example, CAG, Pima County, and the Department of Commerce. We received a response from Pima County Development Services, and they expressed no objection to this proposal. Staff is recommending adoption of a resolution that would approve the major general plan amendment for La Posada. The reasons for our recommendation are that this is a cleanup item that will have our general plan maps match the town boundaries. It'll be business as usual for La Posada with no discernible change to residents or operators, and we do have support for this amendment from the owners of La Posada. There's a suggested motion up on the screen for you, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yes, thanks, and I know we have 3 public hearings, basically all around the same item. Sarah or Anna, do you want to just spend 30 seconds on the general plan, and, you know, because there might be some confusion. You did a really good job outlining it, but we already annexed La Posada, they're already in our town, so just quickly, why melding these together,
Right.
you know, is important.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council and the community. The general plan is a policy guide for the town in making decisions with regard to property development and town investments. So there's also included in the general plan, a major component of it is a land use map. So for example, if a rezoning were to occur, which is not being proposed, we would look to that general plan policy and map and determine whether for that particular property, the request was favorable with regard to the policies. It was in conformance with the policies. And state law requires that our zoning actions are consistent with the general plan. So it is an important document. It's not a law, but it is a policy guide.
Right, I like that last point about sort of legislatively requiring us to have those matched up, because I know it seems. Why? I think you said that. Any questions for staff? Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
I might add to that it's voter approved.
The general plan.
The general plan
Yes.
is voter approved, and that's why it's important to go through these steps that we go through.
Right.
But it shows you the significance and the importance of the general
General
plan.
plan. Absolutely. And that wasn't that long ago. Is it every 10 years that we have to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move to adopt resolution number 2019-0613.
Second.
Well, I'll have to, I'm sorry, I'll backtrack, because, yeah, we're at, I haven't opened it up yet, so I'll go with questions first. No questions, I'm assuming. So at this time, I will open it up, the public hearing. If anybody would like to address us on what we just talked about, this is the time to do it. Seeing no motion, I will declare the public hearing closed, and now I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Surprise, surprise, but I move to adopt resolution 2019-0613.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. That's okay. We have 2 times to try. We now come to item number 11, Madam Clerk.
Public hearing discussion and possible adoption of resolution number 2019-0614, approving a major general plan amendment of Aspire 2035 Sahuaritas General Plan to establish a new special planning area called the Sahuarita Square District, include the new special planning area into the general plan use map, designate the site as a growth area, and change the land use category for the new special planning area to mixed use. Case number SA 719-0002.
Ms. Moore.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. It appears that my slides are missing, but I can tell you, I can tell you that this is a general plan amendment, a major general plan amendment, to include the Sahuarita Square District as a new planning area, special planning area in the general plan, and to designate the site as a growth area, and change the land use category for the new special planning area to mixed use. So there's 3 elements to this major plan amendment. The district itself is bounded on the north by one parcel just north of Sahuarita Boulevard at La Villita, northeast corner, down to the property south of Nogales Highway, adjacent to the crossing in the Santa Cruz River, all the way down along the La Vita roadway, and planned extended roadway that doesn't exist currently. It is, because it's over 40 acres and because of all these changes, it is a major plan amendment. And it's one of the kind of more official acts of the town council to establish this district. You'll hear more from Victor and Norris Design later on the agenda about the district. But this is an official statement, or could be, by the council saying, this is the direction we're giving to staff to pursue and council itself in future actions. This district is planned, as you've heard several times, as a mixed-use, walkable town center that is open to the entire community and is perhaps developed along a slightly different development pattern with more walkability, perhaps higher density, and once again, that mix of uses with commercial, residential, recreation, things like that, activities and events all going on in a fairly close area. So what this does is establishes the district, it establishes policies for the district, and I've outlined in the staff report the 5 main goals of this district. And one is to create an attractive destination, to offer a mix of uses, to expand and enhance connectivity, both within the district and from all the areas of town to the district, provide a showcase for arts, culture, food, and entertainment, and to foster community collaboration. Each of those goals, then, is fleshed out in further policies and actions in the plan that is proposed for adoption tonight. In addition, some of this area is designated for mixed use, some of this area is not designated for mixed use, and what we want to do is say, consistently throughout this district, mixed use is a desired land use type. That doesn't mean that a single project has to include mixed use, but it could be a single project includes a range of housing densities, for example. It could be that it does include both commercial and public civic space, or commercial and residential on the same project, but they could instead just be adjacent to each other. And that's the kind of mechanism of creating a walkable community, is when you have all those different elements in close proximity. So we're proposing mixed use that allows for both commercial, residential, and in some cases, some employment opportunities with a compatible design. So you're not going to talk about major factories or things like that, but much of this area is designated as a growth area. The property on the east side of La Vita is within the Saladita Farm specific plan, which is already designated a growth area. But what we want to do through this proposal is designate the entire area as a growth area. And that's really important because in the general plan and in state law, once again, the town's actions to invest in an area, say for example with infrastructure, is supposed to be within a growth area. So as to provide a rational planning and incremental approach to providing services and investment. So that's also the third important element of this project. As Anna stated before, we had 2 public hearings, once again, all at the same meetings, October 2nd and 7th. There were some speakers at the public hearing for this item. They were predominantly either asking questions or in support. In addition, the neighborhood meeting that we held prior to the public hearing
I'd say the majority of the 25 people who did attend were interested in this item, because we did a direct mailing to all the property owners, which, by the way, is not required. So, because we wanted people to know what was happening that might affect their property. And one of the key things about this is, the questions were about, will I have to move? The answer is no. Can I still build a single-family house on my property? The answer is yes. So it's not changing the underlying zoning. It's not taking away your zoning rights. It's saying, in particular, for those properties that are vacant, which is the vast majority of this area, we want to incentivize and encourage this new mixed-use development. But things on existing properties do not have to change. And in fact, you know, we appreciate additional investment in the area. Once again, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval unanimously at their meeting, and this public hearing itself has been appropriately noticed, as Anna's slide told you. And we do recommend approval, and there is a motion in your packet. I'm sorry about
Mr. Mayor?
that.
Yes. Can we resurrect a map in that slide program that goes through there? I thought I saw a map.
Did you see, okay, we'll try.
Yeah, because
I have a
I
lot
think we
of
all
slides.
need to see a map to understand what we're talking
It's
about.
probably under the Norris, potentially under the Norris presentation.
It'll show the boundary of
Yeah.
not just the buildings?
Yeah, there we go.
All right, now,
So
can
in
you
the
talk about
orange.
that again, please?
So everything that I'm assuming you were talking about, Sarah, has to do with the orange, correct?
Correct. That is the boundary of the district, the proposed district.
So we have Saguaro Road to the north, all the way down to Duval Mine Road.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just point out where South Rita Road is, just to identify for people? The very top line?
The top of the orange, top of the orange.
Yeah, just kind of, just south of, yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Probably pretty much along that line right there.
Right.
But the church is still in front of that, is it not? The Lutheran church is on the corner?
No, the church would be, I think, to the left,
That's correct.
to the left of that car.
Okay, that's the church, all right.
Yeah.
Right. Right where that cursor is.
See, that helps me a lot.
See?
It helps me too. I like maps.
Any other questions for staff before I open the public hearing? No? At this time, I will declare the public hearing open. I have no speaker cards on this item, but if anybody would like to speak to this particular item, now's the time to do so. Seeing no movement, I will declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move to adopt resolution number 2019-0614.
Any further discussion?
Mailer to the neighbors that would be affected by it, kind of like the last request that I had. Whenever we can make sure that we are reaching out to those who would be affected by what the council is doing, it's such good policy and communication, and I think our staff does a great job of trying to reach to the residents, and I just want to encourage that continual support in doing that.
Thank you. Now we move to item number 12, Madam Clerk. What was on my own 13? 12. You hesitated too long.
My apologies, Mr. Mayor. I hesitated too long because I didn't actually hear the ayes and the nays for the last vote.
Yep, they were all yeas, and there were no nays. And now we're down on to item number 12.
Public hearing, discussion, and possible adoption of resolution number 2019-0615, approving a minor general plan amendment of Aspire 2035 Sahuarita's general plan to add language to land use policy LU-4.04 with information on how to locate existing aggregate mines, case number SA 19-00003.
Ms. Moore, or Ms. Gessler.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. This is a very simple amendment. It's a minor general plan amendment, which means it's a very minor amendment.
That's a great title for it, then, isn't it?
A lot less process with a minor general plan amendment compared to a major. Essentially, happened was the state legislature passed HB 2453, which required us to include information in our general plan stating how to locate existing aggregate mines. Our proposal is to add a sentence to the end of policy LU 4.4 stating that existing mines can be located using the Arizona Geological Survey's website. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on October 7th. No members of the public spoke, and the commission recommended approval in a 6-0 vote. Public notice was provided in the Green Valley News. A neighborhood meeting was held on September 18th. Because this was a minor amendment, we weren't required to do that, but since we were having a meeting anyway, we also provided information on this amendment. Again, we had about 25 people in attendance, and there were no concerns expressed regarding this amendment. Staff is recommending adoption of the resolution approving the minor general plan amendment because it is required by state law.
A good reason to do something.
There's a suggested motion on the screen for you, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Before I open up the public hearing, any questions for staff? Being that this is our final public hearing, I'll declare it open. I have no speaker cards, but if anybody would like to address the council on this item, now is the time to do so. Seeing no movement, I will declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move to adopt resolution number 2019-0615.
Second.
And I'm guessing it's going to pass unanimously.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Nays? Passes unanimously. You were correct. Next, we move on to our final agenda item for this evening, which is study session, item number 13. Madam Clerk?
Salamanca Square Presentation and Design Concept Report Update.
Thank you. And Mr. Gonzalez, as was stated before, will be presenting this item in conjunction with Stacy Weeks from Norris Design. Mr. Gonzalez.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for allowing us this time to present on the Salamanca Square project and the status of what is the design concept report. In a few seconds, I'll turn it over to Mr. Stacy Weeks to present on the project as we've moved along. I do just want to take time to share with you three points as it relates to the project. The first one is really the time and effort that's been spent on this project over the last really 2+ years. As you know, economic development is a process in itself, and certainly with this project, we've taken not only the time, but certainly the involvement by many people as we've gone through the visioning of Salamanca Square to where we're at now, and that's the design concept report. So we've had early on input by what is an advisory group that was formulated by both staff as well as members from the public. And then we also had a very much a public input process to the vision of the project, which leads me to the second point, and that's the public input itself. So you'll see, which you have seen before, the surveys that we went out and took information from our residents about the visioning and the elements of the project. So much of what is the design concept report that Mr. Weeks will share is a refinement of what we heard from the public. But we also had just a lot of public touch points by way of open house style public meetings, as well as meeting with property owners. So needless to say, a lot of public involvement has gone into this project, of which we've refined that information into what Mr. Weeks will provide. So finally, I just want to leave you with what the design concept report does provide, which you'll hear this evening. It provides the foundational elements and information that will inform what is going to be built and the phasing of that. So we're excited to where we're at now in this process of Salamanca Square, and certainly where we'll be going into the new year. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Appreciate everyone's time tonight. Excited to be here. We had a lot to share on where we've been over the past few months. We've been very busy. I'm going to lift this up a little bit so make sure you can hear me. But we've been very busy since the last time we met with you in May, when we did the reveals. A few of you may have not had that opportunity to join us through that journey, but we landed on Sarita Square, and that was brought together both by the branding exercise, but also community input, which is really important to build on what Mr. Gonzalez shared. This has been a community effort, and we've enjoyed that opportunity to have that feedback throughout this process. It also, Sarita Square encompasses two components. One being the district, which we appreciate the support and guidance tonight after Ms. Moore's presentation for the amendment, because that helps with the overlay and the district component of it. And then what I'm going to share with you tonight is the Catalyst project, which has been an evolution over the past few months, and currently in the design concept report. So I want to just touch on where we left off with the Sarita Square brand promise, which is to make life in the desert bloom economically, culturally, socially. Bloom. This is about an opportunity to grow, and fitting with the winter rains we have right now, a start to seed this and be a catalyst. And we ended up with a brand vision, which is welcome to Sarita's new district, a modern gathering place with a lively heartbeat and southwestern soul. More than 300 days a year, Sarita Square is in full bloom. In full bloom, alive with music, art, food, and fun. A walkable, family-friendly setting with homegrown shops, businesses, and local events that inspires the entire community to connect, play, and grow together. So, building on the start of the Brooks study that was done for the branding of the town, that really was the catalyst too for this. It really set this in motion as an actionable item to talk about a community gathering place for the town. From there, the visioning process, the Sarita Square visioning process, took us through the journey to one, explore and develop the concept for the district, but also start evolving and creating ideas for what the Catalyst project could be. And with the input from the community, what we heard, central gathering place, a place where you can get together, have fun, recreate, play, integrate the private and public development into this to create a really unique destination for the community. So, as Mr. Gonzalez shared, this started in 17, really 16 with Roger Brooks' study, but going into 17 with the visioning process. And through that, over the past 2 years, we've had countless meetings, we've had great touch points with the community, and really a really thorough process that led to a lot of great data and facts for us to build on, and really kind of digest into what are the elements that are critical for the success for this, but also kind of really feed into other opportunities within the town. So, first of all, I just wanted to highlight again the district itself. As Ms. Moore shared, the vision for the district is to create that destinational draw, the mix of uses, expand the connectivity, internal and external, bringing the community together, specifically as you can see by the orientation of it, in the north-south connection, showcase the arts, food, culture, the entertainment, and really foster that community connection and collaboration as we go through this process. So we did land on this slide. I wish I could have said we had a little bit more of a blow up for you, but anyways, you now are very much so aware of the location of the district. The heart of this, the core of this, is La Vita Corridor. La Vita Corridor serves as this central spine that really creates a road of opportunity for the town to connect the town north-south, Quail Creek, the Quail Creek Crossing, and Adair Highlands to Rancho Sarita, to the town complex, to the schools, and future Rancho Sarita development, which was timely, showing the future investment on the west side of this. So there's a lot of opportunity of things emerging in this corridor, this area, that really create a great opportunity foundation to build upon and plan for in the future. And most importantly, too, a great asset in terms of Santa Cruz River, a huge asset for the community to really capitalize on. With that, we also looked at what are some of the green infrastructure elements that are in place, that are planned for, because this is kind of our guideline for how some of the planned connectivity is available today that could occur in the future, and then thinking about, too, in the future,
what those future connections are from the schools, from the Anta Trail, all those features that are in the community today. Another component of the district study is La Vita Road itself as an extension, and looking at what that alignment could be as we move forward in the future. Currently, we have a 2-lane section that makes it down about halfway, so there's future expansion that would need or future extension that would need to occur, and there's an opportunity to bring it down to Nogales Highway and utilize the light that's in its current configuration today. So looking at those as part of the design concept report, so we can really evaluate those kind of considerations in the future. With that, just for reference, La Vita Road from basically Sarvita Road down to Nogales Highway is about 3 miles. So just to get context for what that corridor brings to the community. So the Catalyst project, at one point, we're going to come up with a more grand name for it, but that'll be one for community participation. But for right now, we want to start with the idea that this is the spark to get it going. So as we started this process, we looked at kind of the northern area from El Toro North to Sarvita Road. We wanted to just kind of focus in on areas of possibility within this area. And what came to light looking at the different properties, we studied scenarios on different candidate properties, and you may recall that we shared some concepts with more mixed-use community town center elements. And as we've gone through the process, we did an exploration of what could be a simple investment to start this catalyst, which might be a more temporary element, but then we dove in deeper and started looking at how do you create something of permanence and impact for the community that starts to bring together elements here, the elements of uses, residential, office, retail, the civic spaces, bringing together the central gathering space, whether that be a town green, those type of entertainment or gathering spaces. So trying to bring together all these different uses in a way that is a elegant solution that also promotes other growth opportunities in the town. So as we looked in this area a little bit further, we've studied what the opportunities are with Sarvita Farm in terms of the planning area along the river corridor there. We've also looked at the opportunities where Freeport is, because Freeport presents some unique opportunities as you think about things in the future. And so we were testing ideas. And ultimately, as you see, there's an area south of the rail spur that we kind of landed at as a real distinct possibility for the Catalyst project. And what we're evaluating is what can that site be? You've seen images before, but we wanted to create this dynamic gathering place where everyone in the community wants to come to, go to events, just have fun, be able to be a marketplace too, so it actually creates that economic generation, and then bring together family-friendly activities, multi-generational opportunities. Think about play, creating this idea of signature play, an element that really can be an iconic draw for the town. Integrating water. Water is a key component to obviously our life here, but also a way to gather people into a civic setting and really test what could be developed into this space. So what we've landed at right now is a master plan for the Catalyst site, which integrates 5 key elements. It starts with the marketplace, and the marketplace is the interior triangular area in the site plan here. And so what the marketplace does is set a framework for a series of container shops / food truck venues so that we can bring together a mix of different type of proprietors into the space to be an incubator, a hub for creating businesses in the town, and also creating that flexibility for different types of users to come into the site for different events. Then, we also, on the southern end of that, which is, if you follow, and I'll step back one sec, just to give you some context, I should have done that before, but, so the northern edge of this is the rail spur, the northern edge, and then along the western edge is La Vita Road. So currently today, 2-lane road, we still utilize the Redway as it is today, but do some improvements along the eastern edge to create better connectivity through multi-use path, and then look at the arrival area of a roundabout to bring you into the southern zone. So the southern zone would have a drop-off, and in that area would be kind of this community play, civic plaza with a water feature, and then play elements, really kind of be a capture point for community play. And then, as you go to the east, is the Great Lawn. And the Great Lawn has the ability to serve recreational needs, as well as be a very dynamic event space. So, internal to this, as you go into the heart of it, you see there's a stage and performance lawn. So the goal there is to be able to create an intimate space on the western edge that's focused around the marketplace that can handle smaller events and gatherings, but then allow for a space that would really be able to be a large-scale event space for the community, focused on an event pavilion. So that becomes kind of your central hub for the gathering space. And then, of course, providing parking, which is always needed, and using that as kind of the framework around the edge of it. But really creating that flexibility of how this space can operate as a market, but also as a recreation and multi-generational gathering space. We want to think about the trails that go around that connect to other places in the community, so we can link the community to this location. And also integrating public art, trying to figure out ways to create interpretive opportunities, so this really becomes another way that's a destinational experience for the town. And then ultimately, thinking about the sustainability of what we do here too, being able to integrate water harvesting, those kind of key elements that come into it to really, and one other component that we've looked at is EV charging stations too, so bringing those kind of elements into this concept, but becoming really this hub for the community for events. So we created a few images to help kind of illustrate it, because it's always tough just to see it on a plan, but one of the things that we wanted to highlight here is as you look south, so as the triangle opens, we have the dynamic views to the south, to Mount Wrightston, Wrightstown, and looking south, just it captures kind of that dynamic view where you can see centrally, you start to see the marketplace from the north edge. As you move down to the performance area and in the distance, you can see kind of play elements that are in the background with recreational elements to your left. Moving into the other side of the marketplace, you can see this is the drop-off zones. This is where you come in for different events. This would be kind of community play zone that we talked about that would host the play area, which we really think there's a great opportunity to do something truly unique with those structures and create a really interesting and interactive element there, as well as creating that civic plaza that's anchored by water play. So you can have that both functional but also enjoyable gathering space for families to be able to hang out right by at the marketplace there and have a drink or have some food, but also kind of be close enough that everyone can have a good time. And then in the distance, you can see configuration for recreational layout. We believe you can accommodate 2 soccer fields, flat fields, and also an adult softball diamond as well in that space. So this gets you a little closer into more of the intimate area of the marketplace. The idea of that stage, a 2-phase stage, one looking into the interior, one going out to the exterior of the Great Lawn. And once again, gathering, you imagine yourself gathering here, having a meal in the evening as the sun sets, getting ready and getting the best seat in the house and enjoying a performance here as you go into the evening. So it's really a terrific opportunity to create a catalyst for the community, something that really becomes iconic as we've been going through the discussion and talking about really what kind of what you can facilitate on the site. And hearing the discussion tonight, we can imagine the future being able to light the Christmas tree out here and have something really unique where you bring the whole community together and just make it light up. Obviously thinking about dark skies, though, not too bright. But just for context, just to step back once again, this kind of gives you an aerial view of the composition of the site as it relates to La Vita Road and basically, the bottom edge of this would be the rail spur right now, so it gives you kind of perspective. And overall, I'll step back for one more sec, but just to give you just another snapshot of the plan, we wanted to give you the idea of scale, because it's tough when you look back at this, right? There's not really much context to provide you at this point. So we laid it next to a few places that may be familiar. One, Hockamay Plaza hosts several events for the city of Tucson. Our spine right now, the marketplace spine, is about 650 feet long, so 2 city blocks. Give you perspective there. So Hockamay along Stone there is about 550 feet, so a little shorter, but it gives you a little bit of perspective on that. If you've been down to Mercado now, they have their boxcar area. That is kind of a southern portion of the site that we're proposing at this time, going out to U of A and the mall. If you take the first segment there, the mall, that gives you a little bit of perspective about the length of the promenade, really, the marketplace promenade. And then once again, another event space. If you've gone to a concert park, City of Tucson at Reed Park, that event space would be pretty similar to the Great Lawn. So it gives you perspective on types of events that could occur and be facilitated here that have historically happened throughout the metropolitan community. But what this really sets forth and builds on is, you have La Vita today that's available, and it can function to support this investment. This really becomes, not to use a redundant word that I've used a lot, but a catalyst for this area. There's potential opportunities as you go around Sarita Road. Obviously, the church is being built on the southwest corner, but it continues to provide opportunities on that key corner for the town, and something like this really can help kind of excite and perpetuate that type of investment in the area. And then long term, looking way down the road as things evolve for the community, Freeport really presents an interesting opportunity with some of the open space that will be left behind with it, but future opportunities to potentially expand recreational uses or other uses in that area and create this hub for the community in the future. And once again, not to forget, but the river corridor plays such an important component to this, and starting to be able to link the Anza Trail from the north down to here, and then continue that further south over time, but start to make those connections would really be a huge value add to the community and increase connectivity overall.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
When we started this process, we were talking about a market space with structures and interior space and lots of room for entrepreneurs to work in and so forth. It was a shopping space with recreational opportunities. We now have come down to a recreational space with a few market opportunities. I would call this a recreational space, not a marketplace. I appreciate this as a first phase, but I would prefer you talk about this as a first phase and let's not present it as the end product. The end product, to me, is this is just a start because of funding and trying to get outside interest in, which will ultimately be turned into creating the market space. But to me, this is not the multi-generational market space that we began with. And I'm hoping that that is where we're intending to go with this, as simply to open the door, create some excitement, but build for that future development, which is creating a unique market space attached to this recreational area.
Yeah.
Could you talk about that just a little bit? Do you agree with that or not?
Councilmember Lusk, we definitely agree with you. You're absolutely right. As we've gone through the process, we had more of a town center as the original vision for this, and the reality as we've gone through the process is that there is potentially a finite budget. This can really serve to be, and you're right, phase one is probably the correct term for that, but as an opportunity to really start and engage and have a community destination space that is the community, this helps support that and also serve to support some of the other needs, those being recreational, but be able to support events too at the same time, so you're kind of using a multitude of the space for different things, but in the future, the location of this is setting up a framework which, if we can take this into the future with what type of private investment can occur around this area, north and south. To the south, there's potential, at least in the Sarita Farms, specific plan for multifamily and mixed use. As you go to the north, same thing, mixed use. So really, that western edge has an opportunity to really become that dynamic hub. And then what potential opportunities happen on the west side, those are yet to be determined, but all that together really could become something unique. And then not to forget what's happening on the west as Rancho Sarita continues to move south. Those elements all add to the mix of really the energy for this whole southern area.
Yeah, I think the town, staff, and the community needs to understand that we've got a very complex possibility in front of us.
Yes.
And we need to be thinking about that, not in segments, but there needs to be a total plan to start with. There's nothing wrong with this plan. This can be go. This is fine. But we've got 33,000 acres, which the voters have approved for an annexation. That land we have to work on to acquire or at least deal with through the state lands. But that land is out there, and unless we're focused on that, it's going to go into wildcat development. If we cannot find a way to put that inside the town through state lands, we might have a real mess out there in the future. So that's important. But what it means is that we need, as you've done in the early stages here with all the way down to Old Nogales Highway, we need to be thinking about that also on the east side of this town in those 33,000 acres, both to make sure they go into the planning, but also to be sure that how we want to see those developed in the future, because it is going to be in the future, just like FICO. But we have to start from some kind of a known position. And all I'm saying is that as this is going forward, as it should, we need to be thinking about the planning that we need to do now, not 20 years down the road. 20 years, if we're talking about the eastern part of Sahuarita in 2030, it's already going to be a yard of anything and all things because of the development that's occurring just to the north side in Tucson and the huge amount of population that's going to be put into that area. So again, I just hope that, I know we all understand it, but I'm going to keep harping on it because I don't want us to get lost on that vision and on that route. Thank you.
Thank you. And Stacy, how many acres are we talking right about here?
So the first phase, the Catalyst project, phase 1, right now is between 18 to 21 acres, depending upon the core area, and we've also looked at that northern piece in gray, which would be kind of overflow parking for future expansion.
So that's my second question, was parking, because, you know, as we continue to grow, you know, when I go to Fiesta Sahuarita, you know, Animax, which is a lot of property, not a lot of parking, but you go into neighborhoods, you know, if it's going to be a central kind of gathering place, whether it be for the Winter Festival Parade or whatever it might be, the consideration of capacity, I think, will always at least be a forefront of my mind, you know, not just another kind of local park, but where you can really bring everybody together. July 4th, you know, it's just not a lot of land, you know, where you just want to shut it all down, basically, to hold those type of events and things. And it's a challenge, but.
And to add to that, Mayor Murphy, also the proximity to the town complex, to be able to run the shuttle and be able to serve from there, and hopefully at some time there's actually a physical connection to La Vita that would actually expedite that. That would greatly add to the additional overflow.
Right, and as you said earlier, the connection to Rancho Sarita to the west, you know, if there's some collaboration, you know, because just like Fiesta or July 4th, whatever it is, you know, you really need multiple entities to provide parking and traffic flow and all those types of things.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, I have a couple questions. I always take great interest in this. The east of you can go back to the other one because I'm going to address it both. East of the event, the Catalyst project to the Sarita or Santa Cruz River, is that developable or is it because of the flood that will stay open?
great.
Well, that's, can you go back to the, that brown, is you talking about the brown space? the slide?
I'm talking anywhere east of that green space
Yeah.
to the river, is that
Councilor
undevelopable?
Yes, that is, right now, that falls in the floodplain area. And at this point in the process, that with where we are, we're not anticipating improvements to facilitate, potential construction of this phase one element. But as things proceed in the future, if there is, additional flood protection, yes, we could expand.
Okay, that was one of my questions. I noticed in the presentation that the park was an inclusive park, thank you. I know that that's something that's very dear to many of our residents, making sure that the parks are all inclusive for all abilities. I appreciate that. I saw lots of seating areas. I missed seeing a large pavilion area where large groups could congregate together. I'm not sure if that's part of the plan or if we can look at that in the future. I know right now that currently the town street does not have a large meeting outdoor space with, there's similar one to, closest I think we have is Animax. There's one there by the dog park, but something like this where somebody may want to rent out a big seating area under a pavilion type thing, I think would be a great thing to think about.
Absolutely. Councilor, in addition to that, there is a linear, shade element, right there. That's intended to be a seating area under there. That would be, basically the back of the component lawn to help support smaller events or other events there, which then in between the two, marketplace elements, the containers there, big setup, temporary tent, those type of things.
Okay.
Too. And I should highlight as well, there's large red circles. Those are huge shade umbrellas, more akin to, what you'd see at like an Oktoberfest celebration. So large covering
Lots of
areas.
shade.
Yeah, lots of shade, but also able to be, taken down for various employment.
Good,
Can I piggyback off of that point?
as long as I get to come back.
I would, absolutely, because I know when we've tried to have workforce, development with UCHC 144 employees, it's really limited. I know the Border Patrol gets together, I think once a year and has something big down at Animax, but you have to piggyback all these pavilions together and take over.
We live in a community that has great weather many months of the year, and we would like to have outdoor evenings that fit large people, not large people, large amounts of people, is something that I think would benefit in our community.
And continue.
Okay, I'll continue. The larger spot where you saw the future, where there was future parks and planning area, I'm gonna move to that one. Yeah, that one. This is just me saying again for the public to know, that area that's not developable, I hope with that green space, we can look at using that space still, even though I know we can't develop it, but use it as an open space. My dream is something similar to what they have there on Irvington and Houghton, where it's Fantasy Island, where people can go and they can bike in those dirt paths and just have an absolute blast with lots of different trails, something of that nature. And on that same line, I hope that we have, in the development of it, that we are connecting obviously to the Anza Trail from this area, that is easily accessible to come in and off that area. I think that's it. Thank you.
Just to follow up to your point, Councilmember, in terms of the Anza Trail, part of the phase one plan is to create that trail connection, so we do link it to create really a true physical connection.
Thank you.
And I don't know if it's you, Stacy, or Kelly, do you want just sort of feedback on the pictures, or gonna get into funding, or any of that type of conversation on cost, and how do we do it, or is that for another time?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. At this point in time, it was just really important that we have a touch point with the council and with the community to then talk about some of the progress that we've made. So we have a ways yet to go. One of those that we need to define more clear is the cost. So your input tonight is helpful, and the comments made are very helpful, because that'll help us with understanding cost. Eventually, we need to, within the next few months, understand completely what those costs are gonna be, because we need to, then communicate clearly with our community on what this is gonna cost and what it's gonna take to, buy it, to pay for it. And so, your feedback is very important. But, no, tonight was really just to talk about the phase one or the Catalyst project. That, if you would go back, Stacy, to that one. We need to, in addition to talking about phase one, talk about the entire project. So tonight's meeting with the major plan amendment that you gave us, and the changes in the code on what this looks like, is very helpful so that we can, let the community know what this district's all about. But all that Freeport area there, is also important to this, ultimately the build-out of this project, because that's where a lot of field and a lot of play is gonna occur, perhaps a recreational center, but that's gonna have to come later. We can't eat the whole elephant right now. I wish we could. If somebody would grant us like $100 million, that'd be great.
They keep playing the lottery, but I haven't so far.
Keep trying. So this is just to talk about what is our first phase. But I think we do need to do a good job of explaining what the entire vision looks like, so that people get that as well.
I know it was touched on during the general plan, but we might have some people in the audience that, you know, live over in this area. Do you want to just touch on the fact that as a whole planning area, I know Sarah touched on it, that if you live in a neighborhood or have a home over there, whatever it might be, that's all inclusive of all of this. We're not talking about taking people's homes out and those types of things, correct?
That's correct. We want to be complementary and good neighbors and good partners in this. And to that extent, we've had an opportunity to talk with FICO and Crown, because the phase one project is on their property. And so, we've talked with them, to see what they think about this project. And Tim is here, and I don't mean to put words into their mouths, but they seem also very favorable, to the direction that we're heading. Still some work to do and some things to pin down, of course, but overall very favorable to partnering with us on this project, at least at this point.
Right.
Mr. Mayor, one more thing that I failed to ask, that's all right?
That's absolutely right.
I'm just looking for clarification, or maybe for future. The stage, it's really hard to tell how big it is, but for me, it needs to be bigger than just, you know, for a 5-person or 6-band. Yeah, like, to me, it needs to be large enough that we could have some type of outdoor productions. I know that there's desire, again, with our great climate, to have outdoor plays, musicals, those type of things, because we have the talent in our community to do that. I think the desire to attend those type of things, they don't have that opportunity anywhere near us yet, an outdoor venue of that sort. So that's something in my vision of what that stage would be able to do.
And that's the type of feedback I think staff's looking for, you know, that's specific. Oh, I'm sorry, Victor.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Stacy, if you can go back to the slide where it shows the properties and the opportunities. It's one of the things that we are definitely, as part of the conversation we're having in the planning process, and to Councilmember Fluff's point about this being phase one, is the opportunities that the surrounding properties provide, most notably the FICO piece on the southeast corner of La Vista and Sahuarito Road. So the less glamorous part of this project is in the discussions around the infrastructure, because certainly there'll be a level of infrastructure needed to support phase one. And so by bringing the Catalyst project online by way of infrastructure, you then activate the surrounding properties. In other words, you get those properties shovel ready. And so when you combine a Catalyst project, like the Great Lawn, that's programmed, you then activate the properties, most notably to the north, for private development. And that's where we have the opportunity to see that evolve over time as really a mixed use, a true marketplace, with a lot of different components that we have seen visually as we've gone through this process. So what the Catalyst does, just to kind of reiterate, it puts shape and form and responds to what the community has said in a shorter time frame, with the opportunity to grow those elements by way of private development. So as the catalyst becomes activated and we demonstrate that it's viable, then the intent is for that private development to happen and to follow shortly thereafter, where it can complement, right, whatever that need is and whatever that market demonstrates by way of its catalyst.
Victor, thank you. That's the clarification that needed to be made. And I think it's a very important one, so thank you for doing that.
Any comments? Simon? Bill? I'm just gonna skip over Kibble. No, I'm kidding.
I'm good.
Okay, you think you have enough, or is that what you were hoping for, Kelly, or? You can just hop on.
I think that's absolutely perfect, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Thanks, Victor, thanks, Stacy, appreciate it. Well, this is the last meeting of 2019. Thanks for attending, first of all, on a nice, cool, rainy night. Not you, you have to be here. You know, we have a couple police officers, first responders, Rural Metro, Green Valley Fire District. Appreciate keeping us safe 2019, and please be safe as we go on to 2020. A lot of things you hear on the news, you know, not as good as we'd like it to be, obviously. As you can hear by some of these presentations, 2020, with plans in the works, Samtec's under construction, the library will be next. You heard Mr. Rossi talk about all the things in the works, opening, ribbon cutting tomorrow. 2020 is going to be exciting, and you know, we're going to do the best. I know staff's going to do the best to keep up with it all, because time is money and speed is of the essence on all of these types of things in some capacity. So wish you a happy holiday, Merry Christmas. Don't forget this Saturday. I'm used to being ignored by Santa, so when I'm riding with Santa, no one has to wave at me. That's okay. I know my place in the world. It's not about me. Absolutely on Saturday. No, it's not about me there then either. Thanks for a great 2019, Eric, Simon, welcome on board. Thanks to my left. Thanks to staff. We had lots of these over the years in various capacities, and it'd be exciting if we can keep continuing. We're at the end of our 25th anniversary, 1994, and
Are you going to be here for the 50?
I don't know. I don't think so. Hopefully some of the people out there will be, but it's been a really good first 25 years, and there's a lot of, I think, exciting things that start on our 26th year, and it'll just take all of us working together. So have a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and hope to see everybody on Saturday. And with that, we're adjourned.